Hey guys, Mama Mita here, and today I want to let you know that I am car camping and all the way up to Nova Scotia, but I've made a little stop, and guess where I'm at today? I'm in Galveston, Texas. That's right. And you know what it's getting to be? It's getting to be near the Mardi Gras. Oh, yes it is. I mean, Walmart is packed with lots of Mardi Gras stuff because they celebrate big down here in Galveston. And they celebrate big in New Orleans too. But hey, I got a recipe today for you. It's a family recipe. And it's from my dad. And the whole neighborhood in Greenville knew my dad as Mr. Taylor. Daddy liked to play Santa Claus at Christmas time and put those bicycles together for all the little kids in the neighborhood that was getting new bicycles for Christmas. But he also loved to feed his family. Now my dad we were in Florida first. I was born in Florida, and then my dad got a job working for the Houston Ship Channel, and he was a checker. And so we moved all the way to Houston when I was there for 27 years before I moved to the Pacific Northwest. Now, Daddy liked to make oyster stew, and I'm thinking that Daddy probably got this oyster stew recipe from Grandma, because Grandma was big in fishing and making seafood. So she loved smoked mullet. Boy, she loved that, and she cooked it. She would go fishing all the time. I've got pictures of her sitting in her lazy boy, her type of lazy boy back in the 40s and 50s, with a big fish in her lap. Love fishing. Okay, so the first thing you want to do with the oyster stew is you want to find some oysters. Well, that's not so easy. and this here is the Gulf of Mexico. Huge shrimp here, huge. The biggest is at the Gulf of Mexico. Well, we've got oysters too, but unfortunately the prices changed a lot since I was here. But as a child, I went this morning, they wanted $27 for a quart of oysters. So I'm like, well, that's a bit much for me. But it's just me having lunch, so I don't think so. So now we got to come up with a substitute. And you know me, I'm big on substitutes. So I came up with this. Thank you, Walmart. $2.47. They look pretty good. They smell good too. They smell like oysters. So you want to take those and you want to separate the oysters from the liquid. This is the liquid here, okay? And you're going to keep that to the side there. The first thing you want to do on doing this is you're going to take a little bit of butter left over from breakfast, and we're going to turn on the stove and heat her up. Put this butter in there. Oh yeah, they're going to be out here partying. I remember last time when my husband and I came here and our family, they had a big parade and was throwing beads and just having a really good time. It was just the best time. Okay, so we got our little bit of butter in there. And we're going to let that heat up. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some chopped up onions. This is a yellow onion, a little bit yellow onions. And then I'm just going to add, this is kind of my version now, a little bit of the green onions with a little bit of a smoky salt, well, 2 little smoky sausages left over from breakfast this morning. I thought I'd give it a little flavor. You know, why not? Why waste it, you know? Okay, so we're going to let that, you're going to put that in there, make sure that's on high, and you're going to let that simmer, saute that down there a little bit, for about 8 minutes, okay? And we'll come back. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So now I have put the butter in there. See that? And I add the onions and the green onions and the little bitty smoky sausages. You don't have to add that. Just add the onions for sure though, okay? And so I let that cook, and so now I'm ready to add the liquid from the oyster, from the can of oysters. I'm going to add that, and I'm going to let that cook for 10 minutes, about 10 minutes. And that's going to cook down, okay? And so it'll become like a liquor. Oyster liquor. So I'm going to let that cook, and then I'll come right back. Okay, I'm back. So now we have that liquid. It's come down to like a lot less. Anyway, so now at this point, this is the careful part, is once you put this on here, okay, and you add your milk. Now, Daddy never used half and half that I remember. He always used whole milk because things were tight back in the 50s and 60s. And we had to save money. Sometimes, we only had powdered milk from the commodities, the state helping us out. It was rough times over the day. But I'm using half and half. And so when you pour this half and half in there, you're going to just like, you're going to let it heat up and simmer. But simmer, but you don't want it to boil. Do not let it boil because it'll burn your milk, okay? So you'll heat that up. Just like if you was warming milk to make hot chocolate. You just don't let it boil. Okay? So that's gonna take a few minutes. I'm gonna stop the camera and I'll come back and show you the next step. This is such a nice stew, and it's actually soup really, but it is easy to make, very easy. Okay, so I'm back. So now I have put the butter in there. You can see that, and I add the onions and the green onions and the little bitty smoky sausages. You don't have to add that. Just add the onions for sure though, okay? And so I let that cook, and so now I'm ready to add the liquid from the can of oysters. I'm gonna add that, and I'm gonna let that cook for 10 minutes, about 10 minutes. And that's gonna cook down, okay? And so it'll become like a liquor, oyster liquor. So I'm gonna let that cook, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so now it is heated up. Okay, I didn't let it boil, but it's pretty hot, but I didn't let it boil. You don't want it to boil. So now at this point, I'm going to take the oysters and I'm going to put them in. Now when the oysters start to curl up, that's when you want to stop. Okay, you want to stop. You don't want them to become too tough or overcooked. And then I'm going to put them back on the fire. Now some people like to put a little bit of pepper. I like black pepper in mine, and my dad liked a little hot sauce. You could do that too, put a little hot sauce on top. I think I'm okay with black pepper though. And then I'm probably going to put a teeny bit of salt in this because it didn't add any salt. So I'm just putting one of those little breakfast type package, from the hotel here with the salt. Let's see how those look. They haven't curled yet, but when they start to curl up, then they're done. All right, and then I'm going to bring out, because this is my lunch today. So as you can see, I have a radish salad, and I'm making some, this is getting pretty hot. Let's see if that's starting to curl. Yeah, it's starting to get pretty good with it, but it's hot. I don't want it to overdo it. Men like this oyster stew. Okay, so now I have over here in this cup, I put a little bit of olive oil in a little packet of a little olive oil. I put some yellow mustard, and then I took one of these containers of honey, and I mixed it with a little bit of olive oil, and a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And what I made is I made a honey mustard dressing. I don't like to buy bottle dressing because I can control the salt. The bottle dressing has got a lot of sodium with just 2 tablespoons of dressing. I just can't do that. Okay, that's almost ready. Okay, so I'm going to take this here and I'm going to put this over my salad. that's done now. I'm going to turn that off. Okay, and kind of hard sometimes when we have to get things in different containers. I had to go outside and take a can opener out of the car because the hotel didn't have a can opener, so I had to go look in the car for the cooking kit. Okay, so now at that point you want to put, once you put this in a bowl, you put some little bit of oyster soup and oyster crackers. Now I got these from Walmart this morning and they were 80 cents, which is really, that's a good deal because they're not the 80 cents in the Pacific Northwest. The one they have in the Pacific Northwest, I like them, but they have a little bit too much salt. These are low sodium because they're like 170, but they don't taste salty like the ones in the other that I have at home. They're very salty. Yeah, too salty. Okay, so that's still hot. So let me get my bowl out. Hopefully I have a bowl up here. Yes. Oh goodness. This is supposed to be a pretty good sized kitchen. It's got everything you need for cooking. So now I've got my, and you can cut these if you want to cut your oysters. I've cut the oysters before. It's okay. You just don't want to boil them too long. You know, you don't want to boil them at all. Actually, so they get simmer hot. So long. Okay. Okay. And so. Alright, and then at that point, you want to take a little bit of the crackers. I'm not going to put too many crackers. There you go. You see that? That's how we had some of our dinners from Daddy. He would make that. I love oyster stew, and I miss my dad a lot. He did a lot of good things for us girls. So, you know, this is good to honor my dad today with oyster stew, Mr. Taylor's oyster stew. You guys, thank you so much. And if you like my video today, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, you might want to be doing that because there's more adventures coming down the road. Bye now. Thank you. Okay, guys, I have one more thing that I want to add to Mr. Taylor's oyster stew, and that's if you are doing this, stew, if you need like the recipe for this, if you was doing 4 people, then you would want to have on the butter, you'd want like, say 4 to 5 tablespoons of butter, and that you would need 1 yellow onion, finely chopped up, and for the liquid, you would need 3 cups of whole milk and 1 cup of half and half. Now, and then you would need the 1 pint of fresh oysters. You don't need a lot of oysters, and I found that the canned oysters, they're not as good as the fresh oysters because they've been a little bit pre-cooked. So they can be a little bit like, I would say a little bit chalky. So if you would have to use the canned oysters, I would suggest that you cut them up smaller and then just put them in that hot liquid and pull them out within, like, say, maybe 3 or 4 minutes because they're small, they're going to cook faster. That would be the more cheaper way, inexpensive way of doing this oyster stew. But if you was doing the fresh ones, I would say go with the small oysters and wait for them to curl up. Well, when they curl up, then that means they're done, and you don't want to overcook the oysters. But the ones in the can, the soup was very good. I liked it, but I have to be honest with you and tell you that it is a little chalky because they've been in the can. So I would suggest if you really want the real deal, then you would have to get the real ones like in the pint jar. I'm not sure how much those would cost. Lord of mercy, they might be pretty expensive down here too. But I've seen them I remember they used to be like $5, a pint jar.
But goodness sakes, down here, a quart's $27. That's ridiculous. No, I wouldn't do that. I would go with just oyster liquid before I would go with that. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that information. And so you guys have a good day. And I'm off to see Galveston, my playground, and see how it's changed. Last time it changed, and every time I come here, something's different. This time now, I've already got the state park going, waiting for that to be remodeled. And hopefully it's going to be nice so when I come back next time I can enjoy it. But, before that, we lost the Balinese room. We lost the flagship. That's all, from hurricanes. A lot of hurricanes come through and they blow through and they take things with it. I guess, what can we say? Anyway, there you go, guys. Bye now.